welcome. Please welcome Harmony Moki. Thank you.
So before I begin, I acknowledge and offer my respect to all First Nations people and extend that to their elders, past, present and emerging. Ngā mihi, thank you. Kia ora koutou katoa, or hello to you all, in my native language, Te Reo Māori. I'd like to first share some of my whakapapa, which is a Māori way of expressing who you are through your ancestry and connections to the land, or whenua. But I don't know it off by heart. Ko arai te uru ko mahuhu o te rangi o ku waka. These are the canoes that brought my tūpuna or ancestors to the shores of Aotearoa, New Zealand. Ko Wainakaroa ko Araroa o ku awa. These are the rivers that are important to my tūpuna. Ko Aoraki ko Tarawera o ku maunga. These are the mountains significant to them. Ko Maoraki ko Ngā Taituria o ku marae. These are the meeting grounds of my whānau or family. Ko Ngai Tahu a ko Ngāti Whātua tūturu o ku iwi. Ngai Tahu is my iwi, or tribe, through my nana and granddad on my mum's side. And Ngāti Whātua is my iwi through my nana and koro on my dad's side. Ko Moki te ingoa tuku whānau, ko Harmony ahau. I am Harmony Moki. My whakapapa connects me to my tūpuna and to the whenua, or the land. And this connection offers me a sense of self that supports my life journey. I'm grateful to be here today because of a shared commitment to our rangatahi, our young people who face significant challenges in youth justice systems. My commitment is particularly to those with fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, or FASD. To define FASD, I'll use the Harding et al. 2019 definition, which described fetal alcohol spectrum disorder as a diagnostic term used to describe impacts on the brain and body of individuals prenatally exposed to alcohol. FASD is a lifelong disability. Individuals with FASD will experience some degree of challenges in their daily living and need support with motor skills, physical health, learning, memory, attention, communication, emotional regulation, and social skills to reach their full potential. Each individual with FASD is unique and has areas of both strengths and challenges, which Dr. Mansfield highlighted. I will now recite a karakia, a traditional Māori prayer, to acknowledge the greater forces that connect all of us and to invite our tūpuna to be present. Whakataka te hau ki te uru, whakataka te hau ki te tonga, kia mā kina kina ki uta, kia mā tāra tāra ki tai. Ehi, āki ana te atakura, he teo, he huka, he hauhu, haumi e, hui e, tai ki e. So, sorry. I want to disclose that I am not a Māori expert, so I sought guidance from Māori researchers and my own whānau to deepen my understanding and my interpretations. So the translation of that karakia is there. But with this karakia, I ask our tūpuna to cease the challenges while we navigate the current path together. It is a call for unity, for faith, and for hope for a better future for our rangatahi. As a general outline for this presentation, I will share my connection to FASD and youth justice through the stories of my brothers. I hope this will provide some context for my perspectives and highlight why these topics are important to me. I will then discuss two very important concepts in Māori culture, which are whānau and whanaungatanga. These concepts are fundamental in understanding the holistic approach that is necessary for prevention, not detention. And they've really been drawn on by the previous speakers already, which has been really cool. So to introduce two very important rangatahi in my life, my brothers, they motivate me, they inspire me, they challenge me, They are my why. They are the reason I began this journey learning about FASD and the youth justice system. They're my little brothers. Not so little anymore. Benji and Billy. Not so little. Those who know them know that they are fiercely loyal, protective of their whānau and friends. They are loving, kind, funny, courageous, creative. They can connect with people from all walks of life. They love animals. And they are the best uncles to our nieces and nephews, always showing up for the younger tamariki in our whānau. And they were the cutest little boys. Despite their many strengths, they face daily challenges. I'd like you to raise your hand, those of you who know rangatahi with similar challenges to my brothers. These include impulsivity, poor memory, substance abuse, crippling anxiety, emotional dysregulation. Do you guys know any young people like that? Thought so. These challenges are all associated with the chronically underdiagnosed fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. Billy was diagnosed with FASD after a court-ordered assessment when he was about 14 years old and already involved in the youth justice system. Benji has never been assessed. In Aotearoa, the sad reality is the quickest path to a diagnostic assessment is through the youth justice system. Benji and Billy share similar journeys to that of many rangatahi with FASD. For example, a recent survey in Canada found that of 323 respondents, 61 were raised by their birth parents. 61 of 323. While this statistic mirrors the reality for every rangatahi with FASD who I know, we don't hold such statistics in Aotearoa. All of those I know were not raised by their birth parents. Some were not raised in their birth countries, and some have never ever had anything to do with their birth whānau. They were all completely disengaged from formal education before they were 16 years old. These experiences of disconnection from whānau, from communities, from their education, contribute to the daily struggle that rangatahi with FASD often face. Most of the individuals I know also found themselves in a youth justice residence, which I understand to be similar to Australia's youth detention facilities. This raises the question, why must they get in trouble with the law before an FASD assessment is accessible to them? The complexities of FASD make everyday life incredibly hard for them, but it is often misunderstood or overlooked. When we as a society fail to understand the impact of FASD, we fail to provide the right support. Leaving rangatahi like my little brothers vulnerable, instead of creating pathways that lead them to success and well-being, our society creates paths that often lead them straight to the youth justice system. Prevention starts with understanding, and that means understanding the person as a whole and as an individual, acknowledging their unique experiences and backgrounds that makes them them. Benji came to live with us when he was about 2 years old. We were his 13th foster home. I ask you to imagine, for a second, the challenge of forming new attachments and adapting yet again to another home. At 2 years old, we were his 13th family. Billy experienced even more. Their birth mother loves him very much, and they love her, but she has her own issues and challenges. Their birth father is my first cousin. He's been in jail most of his life since he was 17. He too is a victim of the youth justice system, a victim of abuse and state care, in fact. And I think he's He's about 55 years old now and still in prison, and just last week he was diagnosed with FASD. Sorry. For our whānau, this isn't just a personal story. It reflects a larger issue that affects so many. It illustrates the intergenerational impacts of trauma and the importance of recognising those impacts. For Benji and Billy, their whānau is central to who they are. Despite their challenges, whānau remains vital to their identity and their holistic well-being. One of Benji and Billy's biological sisters recently told me that she was just 14 years old when Benji was taken away. She did not know for years where he went. This is heartbreaking and highlights systemic failures that contribute further to the deep disconnection and trauma in our rangatahi. In Te Ao Māori, the Māori world, whānau translates to family. This is some of our whānau. Sorry. Whānau translates to family, but the concept of whānau extends far beyond this. It includes extended family and kin networks. My understanding is that whānau represents a support system that provides boundaries and guidelines of how to be. It can be considered the cornerstone of identity and responsibility to each other. It is a central unit for the development of social values and practices. Through whānau, individuals learn their roles, responsibilities, and practices, and connections to their tupuna, the whenua, and their communities. The dynamics within whānau are often complex, and the idea of whānau does not place the burden of responsibility solely on whānau members to ensure positive outcomes for rangatahi. It is about empowering whānau by strengthening their connections and providing support systems to help them thrive. And I think we can all agree that every young person deserves to thrive, not just survive. For rangatahi with FASD, especially those who have experienced disruptions like displacement or multiple placements or youth justice involvement, the concept of whānau remains crucial. Whānau should not bear the weight of these challenges alone. In Benji and Billy's lives, our whānau has been a source of both strength and struggle. This also highlights the importance of whanaungatanga, which everybody has spoke about. Whanaunga translates to family-like relationships or connections, but it is more than this. It represents belonging and support. My sister described it as the most important part of any interactions, the way in which we connect with one another. We can find commonalities between us, which takes us from a space of tapu or sacredness to a space of noa, and like a common ground. Through whanaungatanga, we can create spaces of inclusion and connection where rangatahi and their whānau feel seen, valued and supported. For rangatahi like Benji and Billy, these relationships are vital. To create these spaces of inclusion and connection, we must recognise that empowering whānau is key. This happens through whanaungatanga, through connection with wider networks, services and community. When we focus on building and sustaining relationships, we shift towards a model of support that prioritises whānau empowerment. When I told Benji that I would be interacting with rangatahi and youth justice residents for my work, he gave me this advice. Just be calm and nice with them. Listen to them. Just let them vent to you. It might be pretty hard, sis, but they do like to talk. Just listen. And that's kind of what everybody has said today. Listen, they've got stories to tell, and through their stories we can help promote positive outcomes, and it starts with us. Sorry. sharing the story of Shante. Who did that? You did. That resonated with me when she said, you can be anything you want to be. A young person I interviewed for my research, he experienced 2 different youth justice residents. One he perceived as punitive, and it was a negative experience, but he was back in a youth justice residence not long after this terrible punitive experience. And there he said mentors told him the same thing. You can be anything you want to be. And he said, and because of that, you know, that's what's kept me out. They've motivated me. They made me believe that I could be anything. And I think that's really cool. The voices and the stories of rangatahi with FASD are underrepresented in literature, and positive outcomes are more likely to be achieved if we can listen to them and find out what they want and what they need. So through the FASD Centre, Aotearoa, I've had the opportunity to engage with rangatahi with FASD, temp bowling nights and arcade games and fun stuff like that. And it's about building connections. It's about letting these young people know that we're not judging them, we're walking alongside them. We're proud of what they do, you know, of what they can do, and we can try and promote positive and pro-social behaviours. I'm sure I had more about whanaungatanga. So, my brother's currently kind of involved in gang stuff, which I think somebody spoke about earlier, because that's where they find belonging and that's where they fit in. And they had really different upbringings. Ben, yes, he had lots of foster homes, but from 2 years old, he's had a stable home life, where Billy didn't. But now they're a couple of years apart and they're both at exactly the same stage. They're both, well, not exactly. One's a little bit more substance abusey than the other. But I know me, I don't really understand why. And when I've asked Ben, he said, it's in my blood, sis. It's in my blood. He believes that's what he's meant to do. And so what could we have done, or what should we have done? I don't believe it's on just whānau, you know, it's the wider connections, and it's supporting whānau to support their rangatahi and providing opportunities. I think that's about all I've got. Sorry.